the men of David's company returned to Ziklag. They had been away fighting battles far from home, and their bodies bore the marks of their struggles. Each step they took was heavy, laden with the fatigue of countless skirmishes and the weight of their armor. They were weary from battle. Their hearts were heavy, burdened by the memories of fallen comrades and the relentless march of war. The journey back had been long and arduous, and they yearned for the comfort of their homes and the embrace of their loved ones. They carried the weight of war, not just in their bodies, but in their souls. The scars of battle were etched deeply into their minds, and the hope of respite was the only thing that kept them moving forward. What they found at their journey's end, however, was far more devastating than any battlefield. The sight that greeted them was one of utter desolation and ruin. Ziklag, their refuge, lay in smoldering ruins. The place they had called home, their sanctuary from the chaos of war, was now nothing more than a charred and broken shell. The Amalekites, those ruthless raiders, had descended upon the unsuspecting town with a ferocity that left nothing untouched. They had come like a storm, swift and merciless, leaving destruction in their wake. Fire had consumed their homes, reducing them to ashes. The flames had devoured everything in their path, leaving behind only the skeletal remains of what once was. Their families were gone, taken captive by the marauding Amalekites. The women and children, the elderly and the young, all had been dragged away, their fates unknown. The air was thick with the smell of ash and the sound of lamentation. The cries of the bereaved filled the air, a haunting symphony of sorrow and despair. Wives and children, mothers and fathers, all were missing. The men searched frantically, calling out the names of their loved ones, but there was no answer, only the echo of their own voices. The men wept openly, their cries echoing the depth of their despair. The sight of their ruined homes and the absence of their families was too much to bear. David and his men were overcome with grief. The loss was profound, a wound that cut deeper than any sword. They felt a crushing weight of loss, a sorrow that seemed to press down on them from all sides. The pain of their missing loved ones was a constant ache in their hearts. Their safe haven had been violated, their refuge shattered. The place they had thought would always be there for them was now a place of desolation and despair. Their loved ones were gone, taken from them in the most brutal of ways. The uncertainty of their fate was a torment that gnawed at their souls. The world seemed to crumble around them. The foundations of their lives had been shaken, and they stood amidst the ruins, feeling as if the very ground beneath their feet was giving way. David, too, was devastated. The blow was almost unbearable. Yet, in the face of this crisis, David turned to his faith. He sought strength in the Lord. He knew that despair could cripple him. He needed direction. He needed hope. So he prayed.
Lord, I pour out my heart to you. I ask for guidance. I seek the strength to lead my men through this dark hour.
His prayer was a beacon of hope. It was a testament to his unwavering faith. Even in the face of overwhelming tragedy, David sought God's will. As David and his men gathered their strength, they discovered someone unexpected. An Egyptian slave lay sick and abandoned near the edge of the ravaged town. The slave had been left for dead by the Amalekites. He was weak and starving, yet he held a vital piece of information. David, showing compassion even in his own distress, saw to the slave's needs. He offered him food and water, tending to his wounds.
I was with the Amalekite raiding party. I know the direction they have taken.
Hope, like a flickering candle in the darkness, began to stir within David. With renewed determination, David sought God's guidance.
Should I pursue this raiding party? Will you deliver them into my hand?
The Lord answered David's prayer.
Pursue them. You will surely overtake them and succeed in the rescue.
Armed with this divine assurance, David rallied his men. Their spirits, though still heavy with grief, were lifted by a glimmer of hope. They were determined to rescue their families. They set out in swift pursuit, their hearts set on justice and driven by the promise of reunion. Section 5, the battle begins. Courage and faith in action. In the annals of history, there are moments that define the spirit of a people, moments where courage and faith are put to the ultimate test.
We must follow the trail left by the Amalekites. They cannot be far. Every step we take brings us closer to reclaiming what is rightfully ours.
David and his men followed the trail left by the Amalekites. Their hearts were heavy with the weight of their mission, but their determination was unyielding. It led them through harsh terrain. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the ground beneath their feet was unforgiving. But their resolve did not waver. Each obstacle they encountered only strengthened their resolve. They finally caught up with the raiders. The sight of the enemy camp ignited a fire within them.
Celebrate, men. This victory is ours. Let the world know that we are not to be trifled with.
The Amalekites were celebrating their victory, unaware of the impending threat. They reveled in their spoils, confident in their triumph. They were caught completely off guard. The suddenness of the attack left them in disarray. David's men, fueled by righteous anger and the desperate hope of rescuing their loved ones, fought with unwavering courage. They were outnumbered, but their spirits were indomitable. But they were not outmatched. Their training, their unity, and their sheer willpower gave them an edge. Their faith in God and their love for their families spurred them onward. Each warrior fought not just for himself, but for the future of his people. The battle raged, a clash of swords and shields, a desperate fight for justice and freedom. The air was thick with the sounds of combat, the cries of the wounded, and the unyielding roar of determined warriors. In the end, it was their courage and faith that saw them through. They emerged victorious, not just in battle, but in spirit. Their story would be told for generations, a testament to the power of courage and faith in action. Section 6. Victory and Reunion. Tears of joy replace tears of sorrow. In the annals of history, few moments are as poignant as the reunion of warriors with their loved ones after the chaos of battle. These moments, filled with raw emotion, are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
We cannot falter now for our families, for our future. Every step we take, every blow we strike is for the ones waiting for us back home. Their hopes and dreams rest upon our shoulders.
The tide of the battle turned. David's men, empowered by their faith and their righteous cause, gained the upper hand. Their determination was unyielding, their spirit unbreakable. Each warrior fought not just for survival, but for the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The Amalekites, taken by surprise and ill-prepared for such fierce resistance, faltered, their confidence shattered. They found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer will and tenacity of David's forces. Victory was secured. David and his men had triumphed. The battlefield, once a place of despair and destruction, now echoed with the sounds of jubilation and relief. They had faced their enemy with courage and faith. Each warrior's heart beat with the rhythm of hope, their minds focused on the faces of those they loved, and they had emerged victorious. Their victory was not just a testament to their strength, but to their unwavering belief in their cause. But the true prize of victory was not the spoils of war. Gold and treasures, though valuable, paled in comparison to the real reward. It was the sight of their loved ones, alive and unharmed. The joy of seeing familiar faces, the relief of knowing they were safe, was beyond any material wealth.
David, oh thank God you're safe. The cries of relief and joy echoed through the air, a symphony of emotions that words could scarcely capture.
Tears of joy streamed down their faces as families, torn apart by cruelty, were reunited in an embrace of love and gratitude. These tears, once shed in sorrow, now flowed freely in celebration. The bonds of family and friendship, tested by the fires of conflict, emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. In these moments, the true essence of victory was revealed, not in the defeat of an enemy, but in the reaffirmation of love, hope, and the enduring human spirit.
As was the custom in those times, the spoils of war, the recovered goods, the livestock, everything belonged to the victors. Some of David's men, battle-weary and feeling deserving of their reward, argued against sharing the bounty. David, however, saw things differently. He believed that every man who had fought with him, whether he had seen the heat of battle or guarded the supplies, deserved an equal share. He silenced those who grumbled, reminding them that it was God's victory, not theirs alone. He declared that all would share equally in the blessings that God had provided.
David's decision to share the spoils equally was not just about fairness. It was about recognizing the contributions of every man, regardless of his role. It was about fostering unity and gratitude, reminding his men that they were a team, bound together by a common purpose. This act of generosity revealed the heart of a true leader. David understood that true leadership was not about amassing personal gain. It was about serving others. even when it meant sacrificing one's own perceived entitlements. The shared experience of loss, the desperate pursuit, the fierce battle, and the joy of reunion, followed by David's act of radical generosity, created a profound sense of unity among David's men. They had faced their giants together, they had triumphed together, and they would share the rewards of victory together. This unity, forged in the fires of adversity, would serve them well in the battles to come. They had learned that their strength lay not just in their individual skills, but in their collective spirit, their unwavering faith, and their commitment to one another. The Amalekite showdown reveals David not just as a warrior, but as a man of deep faith and even greater leadership. His unwavering trust in God, even in the darkest hour, his compassion for the suffering, and his commitment to fairness and unity serve as timeless lessons for us all. David's story reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, faith, courage, and compassion can light our way. It teaches us that true leadership is not about power, but about service, not about self-interest, but about shared victory. Like David, may we face our giants with courage, lead with compassion, and build unity through generosity. For in doing so, we honor God and inspire those around us.